What we're trying to do here tonight, this conversation that we're trying to have, in order to make it meaningful in the long run, it's up to both of us to say to everybody, that kind of racism, that kind of ugliness should be condemned by both of us.
Absolutely, I agree with you. When it comes to anti-Semitism, there's a strong condemnation from the National Council of La Raza, which I know a lot of folks on your side think is this, the brown, what they call it, the tan clan, this, this idea that somehow we argue for the separatism, but that is not the case. These are just basically this part of the history of the United States. Again, you have these ethnic groups that unite around their ethnicity to push forth for the interest of their particular ethnicity.
No one argues the need and the desire for anybody coming here from another country to find common elements inside America, to find other people who speak the same language, who have the same kind of backgrounds, eat the same foods. All that is completely natural. But there is something that is very dangerous when it moves from that to a hatred of another race. And I'm telling you, that's what's there. And it should be condemned. It should be condemned by people like you who have great respect in the Hispanic community and a voice in a column. Who should do that?
We do, and again, we do, and I'm telling you, those organizations are not fundamentally racist. They're not set up to hate the white man, to hate the gringo, to hate all of that.
Then we have to just disregard everything they say.
No. I can show you those documents.
Forget their documents. I mean, you can't just say that, Gustavo. It's too easy to try to brush that all aside and go, no, it really
I'm not brushing it at all. I'm not brushing it at all. In my column, I will go after people who do espouse hatred. A lot of the hype, when people say, like, there's this Nation of Aslan or La Voz de Aslan who's saying all this anti-homophobic, anti-Semitic remarks, that is one fringe website. And who was the person who exposed them for that and the first person to condemn them in the mainstream media? Yours truly right here. And not only that, I did it for a Jewish newspaper, the Jewish Journal of Los Angeles. Here's your anti-Semite, folks. It was fun.
Yeah. We promised a conversation, and obviously these two have no problem being promised. But we are going to ask the most frequently requested, and they have blown through most of your questions already, but the one that is the most frequent one here is to Tom Tancredo. During the election, which as we know just ended 2 weeks ago.
What election? What happened?
You said you would immediately stop illegal immigration, but we never heard exactly how except just watch me. Can you tell us now how you would have done it?
Yeah, sure. And I used to say it, believe it or not, because I did say it over and over and over again, that there were ways in which we could actually deal with this issue in a very, I think, certainly humane way. You want to deal with immigration, rounding up people, taking them. Well, of course, that's completely untrue and certainly unnecessary. It would not be acceptable even if it were a necessary item. But it is not. And here's what you can do. You can enforce the law. We have on the books in the state of Colorado a couple of laws that are really pretty good. Senate Bill 90 and 1023, both of which are designed to reduce the number of illegal immigrants in the state of Colorado by saying, number one, you cannot have sanctuary cities. Now, unfortunately, neither of those laws have ever been enforced, even the slightest attempt to enforce them. The other one talks about the need for people to show proof of citizenship in order to obtain social service benefits. None of those things are ever enforced. Had I been governor, I would have certainly enforced both of those laws. But there's a more important one that we would have put through, or at least tried to put through, and if the legislature wouldn't have gone along with it, I would have gone to the people of the state, because I think they would have passed it. And that is it's something called mandatory e-verify. The great allure, of course, for people who are coming here illegally, for the most part, is a job. Right? We all recognize that. A job, by the way, oftentimes a job at which these people are exploited because they are here illegally, and hence an employer can pay them less than would be the going rate for somebody who is a legal resident. And the threat always of turning you in to ICE is there, and so many many people are exploited by employers. The way to deal with that is to enforce something called E-Verify. E-Verify is a process by which employers would have to go to a Social Security website and put in the Social Security number of someone who is applying for a job. And if that Social Security number came back as being defective, something wrong with it, you could not hire them until it was corrected, until that person went out and said, well, here's what's wrong, and I got it corrected. That one thing has more power in terms of actually reducing the number of illegal immigrants coming to the state of Colorado than anything else. It happened, it actually worked pretty well in Arizona. Interesting.
Something else there.
Pardon me?
Something else scared people off from Arizona, Joe Arpaio. But anyways, go ahead.
Right.
Joe Arpaio. Well, the interesting aspect of all of this stuff is that when put to a vote, when put to a test in terms of a poll, most Coloradans agreed with that particular proposal, E-Verify, and the Arizona law. Most Hispanics in Colorado, according to the poll, also agreed with it. The Zogby poll that was just came out a little bit ago, 56% of Hispanics in the United States agree that there is too much immigration coming into the United States altogether. Now, this is heartening, certainly, and something that I talked about all during the campaign, and that is, this is not something people always would say, well, Hispanics don't, they would run away from this, they don't like this, but it is not true. It is not true. And I am proud of the fact that I had, in at least one poll, I had more Hispanic support than Mayor Hickenlooper. That there aren't enough. Now I'm looking for a lot more. I'm looking for a lot more Hispanics who are able to vote. That is here legally, because I had a majority in those states.
But just because a certain segment of the population supports something does not make it right. And so I think in using that as somehow saying that somehow Latinos are in favor of stricter immigration reform, that does not necessarily make it right.
You do not believe that's true?
These polls? I don't believe most polls. I don't believe most polls. Again,
I wish I did not either. I wish I could ignore it.
You have to be out there and actually knowing what the population's saying. But that's one thing that's always fascinated me about you, is that you have this emphasis. Okay, we need to crack down on the employers. We need to crack down. If we stop it, whether it's E-Verify or something else, then we can somehow stem the flow of illegal immigration. You see, but that is also the root cause of immigration, period. It is the economy. It is businessmen who want to have cheap labor.
Exploit is the word.
But that has also been the American way. America has demanded cheap labor, whether it was immigrant laborers coming from Europe.
Is it good?
It's not good.
It's just a good thing.
I'm not accepting it. I'm not accepting
Good.
it. I'm not agreeing with it. But I'm saying
Good.
that is the true American way, for better or for worse. So I want to hear your thoughts of it. I think to truly, completely stem the flow of illegal immigration, if you want it, you truly have to crack down on capital, on the businesses. But we will never do that, because that would be socialism.
Just watch.
Just watch.
Because I guarantee you that is exactly where I would go, because that is the nexus. That's where you can deal with this issue, and you don't have to be rounding people up. You don't have to do anything like that, anything nearly as extreme as that. You simply have to say, no, the thing for which you came you cannot get. And therefore, people either go home or they go to someplace else that is a little more liberal in the way they...
And what does that do to business?
Hey, listen, they're going to have to deal with it. You know what it does to business? I'll tell you what it does to business. It tells them they're going to have to meet the market. Labor is it's a market just like anything else. And so the fewer number of people that you have the ability to solicit and in order to become, to work for you, the fewer number there are, what happens? What happens in a market system? And it is not anti-capitalist, it is pure capitalism. Because the fewer number of people that are applying for the jobs, available for the jobs, creates this other phenomena. It's called higher wages. because they meet at
The
some
last
point.
thing the American businessman wants to do.
Tough crap. Who cares about the American businessman?
We're just putting it out there. We're just putting it out there. You know,
I'm just telling you, I don't care if he
That's
has
a good
to,
man then.
if the American businessman has to raise his rates in order to hire people who are legally present. That is okay with me. And if I have to pay more for the head of lettuce or for whatever else it is that I am beneficiary of as a result of legal labor, it's okay with me. Do you understand that? It's okay.
I do. But you know what's going to happen when you force those businesses to pay higher wages? They're going to go down to Mexico, NAFTA, and you know what's going to happen?
Some can.
Most do. Most have happened.
If you run a restaurant down the street and you're hiring a lot of illegal labor, as of course Mayor Hickenlooper was, and maybe still is.
Patty can answer that, not me.
But what I'm telling you is, if you do that, if you're doing that, you can't move to Mexico. You can't move your restaurant there. Your restaurant's here. You're going to have to hire help here. And believe it or not, it works. Even in Arizona, where this was put into effect, where E-Verify was put into effect, you know what? Businesses haven't exited the state in droves. People actually have survived. Wages. The one reason why I think that we see Hispanic support for immigration crackdown, for reducing the number of people even legally coming in, the reason is because
it drives down wages.
They see that depresses wage rates for people in their same category. I mean, the people who are looking for those jobs. It reduces their wage rates. It depresses them. And it takes jobs. Why the hell should we give jobs to anybody coming here who comes in illegally at the expense of the person who was born here? There are Hispanics in this state that whose parents have been here generations before mine came, have exactly the same sort of commitment to America that I think we all would love to see, and say to themselves, hey, look, this isn't fair. If people came the right way, if you come from Mexico, well, how many? How many come every year legally?
5 people.
Yeah. But of course, it's much higher than that. We have about 1,250,000 people coming every year, right?
They've been reduced in the past couple of years because of the economy and the recession.
The one thing that our whole entire immigration system is based on is called family reunification. And right now, almost all of the families who need to be reunified are Hispanic, or from Mexico, or from South and Central America. Okay, so that's 90-some% of our immigration is from that area.
They'll say that in Little Saigon in Orange County, but go ahead.
Right? I'm just telling you, 90%. Certainly you have these little pockets, but 90% come from there. All right, now, if they come the right way, if they've spent time in the process, coming from Mexico the right way, you apply, you have to wait, it's a line, and you have to get a visa to come in, and you do all those things, and you get here. And as a result, you are benefited. You are given an exalted status in that you are a legal immigrant. As a result, you can actually enter in the process to become a citizen. And with that, it gives all kinds of benefits, including voting. Why in the world would you think it would be odd for those people to feel somewhat upset, anyway, insulted by the fact that they did it the right way, but somebody can come